And these are still in progress, right? I guess these are going to be on PTS.
Yeah, the
But the
whole time
PTS notes didn't come out, right? Like
feedback.
other stuff. That's still we're
No,
waiting on.
they'll be when the PTS comes.
Okay.
So there'll
Okay.
be other changes like class stuff, as usual.
10-4. All right. The first passive in every one doesn't really matter.
No.
So we're just going to kind of skip that spell recharge for the high elf. I remember high elf looks fierce, dude. So they restore stam or magicka depending which is higher after activating a class ability. This effect can occur every 6 seconds, reduce damage taken by 5 while channeling or casting. What's the difference between that anyway? Like, I get channel, like beam or jabs. Jabs counts as a channel, right? Or soul assault. But
Yeah.
what's casting?
Um.
Is that dark
So
deal?
like,
Is
yeah,
that
like Dark Deal or Channeled Acceleration,
mm,
stuff like that. I think it's
that's
just covering
just
all bases. They're
gotcha.
all really
Okay,
the same.
they're kind of the same. Okay, all right. So it's not bad. They didn't. What? Wait, what was the old one? The other one was magic recovery.
It was just regen, 10% regen. The old one.
So is that supposed to be more or less? Less, I
Uh,
imagine, right?
it just
You
depends
son of
on
a
if you built
bitch.
that way. So like in PvE, you
Right.
don't build that way. So
And
it
this is
was
what I
really
was
low.
wondering. Like, what was the target actually? If you can say and you know, was there a target? Was it like we're looking within mind of
So
no CP or current CP or future
uh, I think
projections?
I think the target was to add a theme to the classes to make them more of like an actual theme. Like a lot of them just had like
Right.
max down, this and that, as well as bring a lot of them closer together. They're much closer than they've ever been. Besides when there was no caps or
Right.
soft caps or whatever.
Right. Right.
So also, yeah, for example, if you didn't build into regen, you weren't making much of that actual regen.
Yeah, whereas you could invest fully in spell damage, for
You
example, be a
son of
glass
a
cannon,
bitch.
and really maximize your benefit from it.
Yeah. Whereas like Breton is the other scope. It's more like you can invest even more into all damage because you have such regen. So there's these little flip flops back and forth where
Right.
you can kind of build upon just the race alone and then build your gear on that.
Right. So I see something like that. That to me, like that seems to be more impactful too to the non CP area.
Right,
So
right,
I
yeah.
consider these in all those because right now, like CP staying in PVE for the foreseeable future, and even if it gets reworked, it's still there probably. But like, um, yeah, a lot of these things, especially the passive flats, are going to be more impactful in non CP overall. It's Fear Turbo,
Also,
expert player.
uh,
That's right. He's a
also
professional. Okay, go ahead.
it's just easier to balance the game without another like percent. So let's say you add like some crazy gear into it, and then
Yes,
you see
yes.
some unforeseen like bonuses to
It's that
Lizard
power
because they have
creep type
nine
shit.
percent health. Yeah, yeah. It's
It's
just easier. It's easier. More to manage. Cooler things can come out.
yeah, it is easier for them to manage and distinctly know what's going to be impacted and kind of say you're putting in these brand new sets or whatever, and you're building a new guy, and it's a year later, and CP's up. Things get out of control pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like 9% magic recovery, guys, for example, on something like the Lich set would be very impactful there. Whereas with this, completely different. So, okay. Gift of Magnus. Uh, so increase your max magic by 2k. That's a lot.
Hmm.
And what's the
Yep.
over under? I think I saw different people post and stuff, but overall, these are, if you min maxed, you're going to be a little lower now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Just a little lower than before because if you built into a high pool,
Right.
you're just a little bit under that. But
You
we
son of
also
a
get the spell
bitch.
damage, which affects all damage and not just elemental, which is a huge bonus.
Yeah, that's pretty
So
big.
really, it makes up for it, and it scales. These are just not even scaled up. Like that scales a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. And that's interesting. what was the reasoning on restore Magica or stamina based on which is higher when you get max Magica and only spell damage? It's kind of
Honestly, I'm
weird.
not too sure about that one, but
The one on the Dark Elf later, I kind of understood, or
so
different other ones, but that one seems
so
weird.
maybe the Dragon Disruptor, like you have more max stam, and then when you use a Dark Deal, you have a ton of magic regen, but you're gaining magic, like you're gaining stamina when you use Dark Deal on top of like gaining stamina from Dark Deal. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
just maybe a little tricky. It probably won't see much play because people see it as a DPS class, but it has an option there, I guess. I'm not too sure, but maybe you're a high elf tank and you need max stam.
that's interesting.
That's
Yeah,
that's one way to
okay.
get stamina.
All right. Yeah, so they get extra spell damage and max Magica. And I'm pretty sure this is your best damage dealer option on the Magica side still, yeah.
It's really close to Khajiit, just depending on how you build,
Oh yeah, the crit.
and it's also close to other classes, but it etches out just a little bit. So like, someone did a comparison that showed Altmer to be a little bit better than Khajiit at number one, whereas like Breton was very high up there as well, but in the sustain department. So like if whichever one you value more and want to build towards or build off of.
Okay. And I guess these were tested what, PvE end game type stuff? Like dummy
Uh,
tests or what?
that was all Zoss on that
Oh,
end.
okay, so
So
we don't know. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Cool. All right. Argonian's an interesting one. I think this is a big part of the reason they wanted to redo races to begin with. These guys were pretty fierce. Let's look at the before after. So before they had resource gain, max Magica, and then here's the big one: the restore pot passive. It was a flat 4,600 health Magica stam when you drink a pot. Now it's just 1,000 max Magica, and it restores 3,600. Still flat
son of a bitch.
when you drink a potion. So they shaved off about 1,000 on each stat resource. Max Magica's probably going to be better. 1,000's probably better than 3%.
yeah, just depending on how you really built, but yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yep. Before they were like stat wise, they were almost two races.
Yeah.
Like it was pretty insane. Yeah.
Yeah, you mean with the what with the
With the potion,
potion and then the healing one?
9% max health and like 3% magicka along with the healing done and received. It was really strong.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah. And that was the other one. 9% max health. The resistance is here. So this increases health to 1,000. And then disease resistance still. So they get 1,000 health and 1,000 magicka. They still get the pot passive shaved down a bit. And then quick to mend, which was 5% on healing done and 5% on healing received, is now just increase healing done by 4.
yeah, that took a hit. Yeah.
So yeah, that's the one that really got hit, and I'd say the pot thing.
Another thing that goes unnoticed is the immune to disease status effect, which is actually really strong.
Yeah.
When fighting anything like night blades that can proc that defile on you. You're just immune to it now. So it kind of covers a little bit of the healing.
Mr. T saying Argonians got shit on in comparison. You guys have your volume turned almost all the way up. Hang on, I can boost it up a bit more. Okay, that should be a little better. I'll be a little louder too. If you can't disease them, does that mean they can't be defiled? They can be debuffed. You can't put disease on them.
Yeah, you can put the major, like you can put
like
the
if you hit them with a reverb,
buff.
they're gonna get major defiled.
Bitch.
But yeah,
They're not gonna get it
Argonians are
passively.
still really strong. I think so too. I see everyone was saying how badly these guys got slammed, and I don't see it up front. Like they still get 1,000 health and 1,000 magicka. In fact, those stats are a little better. The healing portion, that passive really took a hit, and that was pretty crazy. It was 5% healing done and received. It made these guys such fierce tanks in the way they could build and restore themselves constantly. But they still have the pot passive, which is still really good. Like, it's still really good. Mr. T says they are okay. All right, T. Still think it's pretty good. They're no longer Biss. All right. Well, I mean, I think we expected Argonian. I expected them to get hit more than this, actually. I kind of thought they would. The pot passive is really good, but they still have good stats. And for me, honestly, when I go through this, and that's why I'm wondering, I don't know how some of the people went through between the devs or the class reps, and how many looked at this from a non-CP perspective. That does encompass all BGs, non-CP campaigns, which aren't as popular as Vivek right now, but they are pretty booming. Like, ours is pretty good. EU's is constantly filled up pretty well, too, from what I hear. It's the consoles at non-CP is not as popular right now, from what I understand. There's a lot of people that can't play on non-CP and console, and some of them have just come to PC instead for the performance and the environment. I thought the pot passive was going to hit much harder. I thought they'd remove it. I still think that's very strong. You are still, because you have, like, you can still do those infused pot builds and cooldown pots, and I mean, that's a lot. But even without it, 3,600 on demand, like, you can use, like, an immovable healing Magicka pot and still get, like, 3,600 stam coming in behind it, and an extra Magicka in health on top of the. I still think it's good. So, but okay, that's Argonian. I don't think they got hit too bad, because again, like, I find the fact that they got 1k Magicka and 1k health to be pretty big to pair still with that stuff. I think that's pretty good. That's why I ask about the CP stuff. Like, is the actual max stat things? They're really important when you're trying to build a guy in non-CP. They're really important. Like, anywhere you can fetch health to barely make it to a certain level is very important. And when you start doing that, then you have to start factoring in other things. I feel Magicka builds probably struggle with that a little more too, because they need to be able to sustain. If they get CC'd in non-CP, it costs so much of their stam bar to deal with it. So if you take a race in there that is really stat drained, it's very difficult. Like, you end up having to try and enchant them across the board, and as a result, you'll have like a lower, just general max. Say if you're a Magicka, you're gonna have a lower max Magicka to be able to have sufficient health and stam to survive. But that's why I wonder about the max stats. Yeah, Pegasus, I'm gonna get to that one. I agreed, but we'll get to that. Wood Elf. I read this one. I thought this was interesting. All right, Wood Elf. Let's do it. 21% stam recovery, which is pretty fierce. Is now just increase your recovery to 258. So again here, what are your thoughts on that? Like, 21% could probably turn out way more than 250 stam recovery on a proper build, right? Even a balanced one.
Right. Yeah.
So that's a nerf there, more or less. Unless you're avoiding, like, unless that's how you're picking up recovery, like, a bit.
Yes,
from that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Which is what they're trying to do. I get what they're trying to do with it. To be like, I can build this, I get my recovery from there. I don't need to put a stam recovery enchant on, or I don't need to take that Mundus, or I don't need to wear this set for like 150 more stam recovery, right? That kind of shit.
Right. You're not investing into your racials, which should be just helping you instead.
Right.
That's 2 steps, and it's now down to 1. So.
Yeah, I get what they're going for there. But okay, so that got moved to that. Resist affliction, which is max stam, and poison disease resistance will now increase your max stamina by 2k. And poison resistance. Okay. Stealthy reduces detection radius 3 meters, increased damage done in stealth by 10%. This has been changed to Hunter's Eye. Increase your stealth detection radius by 3 meters. After you roll dodge, you gain 20% move speed for 3 seconds. How do you feel about that one?
I think that one is pretty strong, honestly.
I'm not, like... Did anyone pitch it out, maybe? And you don't have to answer, but, like, they went through the whole Swift meta issue, right? Like, did anyone look at 20% move speed and think, that's a lot? Like, I don't know. Take, for example, I don't know. You know the Ride the Lightning build, the thing I do there with that? and
Hmm.
it's just it doesn't even use shuffle because shuffles freaking sucks right now. But if you put something like that on it, I don't even use shuffle. I use just mobility through move speed, and then streak to line of sight to in place of shuffle, so to speak. But like that on top of that, something that's a build again where this is something. This is a. I think it's a. I think it's too niche actually. Like if you just this is going to 100% force people into bow builds here. Like on this wood elf, it's going to force them. It absolutely targets them into it. Because pairing that with a bow, like a bow, you get expedition for 4 seconds, and this thing gives it to you for 3. Why are you not just gonna run around with a fucking bow on every wood elf, right?
Either that or like a warden with the speed buff, and then being able to roll without
Yeah, or
being
yeah,
having to have
yeah,
the
without
bow.
needing it too. I mean, I think that one's a little dangerous, but
You son of a
and it goes
bitch.
beyond that. Like I don't know what's happening with move speed yet. We'll find out soon. Hopefully, there better be something in the patch news. Or I'm gonna lose my mind. But like, if move speed is getting some kind of rework, whether it be its resistance, how it's applied, or whatever, um, and it should move up basically away from these mass slows. So if it does do that, and then you have something like that on top of it, that's a lot. That's pretty dangerous. Is all I'm saying. So, but I think it's a little fierce, a little too fierce with bows. I think you're gonna have guys that are a little too tough to catch for a lot of people. Now, there's a lot of builds that can. There's a lot of ways to do it. Like I could do that on my stem circ, no problem. Streaking with hurricane, find them, spin them, whatever. But there's gonna be a lot of classes that just aren't gonna do much to that. Um,
I think it's gonna be pretty OP in like champion points, but I'm not sure
yeah,
like its overall strength in burst situations. Yeah, it'll be really strong in CP, but if you gotta constantly roll, get an
I
advantage,
do that
it's gonna be
though.
rough in CP though.
Like you can make builds to do it, and their passes back it up. They're already giving them flat 2K stam with passive recovery. Like they already got the starter kit to start spamming roll dodge here. Um,
Yeah, it's true, it's true. But they also don't have a lot of the other things that other classes have.
yeah, yeah. I think that one could be problematic. I mean, the good
I think
news is most what else I fight, man, they die instantly. But I mean, some people could switch to it, and and probably will. Like if you want to run a solo build or something, dude, just grab a bow and something with this. Just do it. Small Sun's gonna be fast and deadly. He is. He's gonna be fierce.
I think we need to get on the PTS and play around with it and give some good feedback for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh yeah, Small Sun with werewolf with that, dude. Just rolling around in your
Woo.
werewolf, flying, unbelievable. That's pretty wild. Um, that'd actually make a really good werewolf because yeah, it just amps up all their max stam, their recovery. All right, yeah, I think that one could be
You
troublesome.
son of a
He,
bitch.
and